All right, back at it. As you can see, this beautiful man on the screen here is Mr. Frank Zappa. And after watching that last Zappa video, I realized like how important he was to music, and that he's definitely somebody I need to dive into more. I know a couple Zappa tunes. I've heard a couple of Zappa tunes. We play one Zappa tune in my band, but it's like an off Zappa tune that's like a blues song, and it's like him just making fun of the blues. And so it's I'm not really into him the way that I need to be. I'm such a fan of jazz and fusion and blues and rock and all these kind of different genres that I feel like his band encompasses. Um, so yeah, the last song was just a spectacular piece of music, and I feel like there's probably just a ton of that with his library. So I'm gonna go to the first comment from someone on that last Zappa video that I did. Frank Potter 5936. He said, "Great review, but don't try to play along with Frank Zappa unless you know it's a simple song." Completely agree. Said, "I suggest you review the 'Don't Eat the Yellow Snow' suite. I've heard of the song 'Don't Eat the Yellow Snow' only because when I was growing up, it was between my dad and my brother and I. Um, Anytime we would take a leak outside and there was snow on the ground, it was always, they would start singing it to me. They were, and my brother's 5 years older than me. They would start singing, 'Watch out where the huskies go, don't you eat that yellow snow.'" I've never heard the song. I've only ever heard that part of the lyric. Um, and so I know of that. I hope this is the song where that lyric presents itself at some point. I'll probably, hear it and go, "Oh, there's the Family Guy. I love it when they say the title of the movie in the movie." It'll probably be one of those moments because I've never listened to the song. I've only ever heard it referenced. But it would happen a lot. Anytime there was yellow snow on the ground, yeah, someone would say that or sing that. So it'll be fun to get into. I see this is like 10 or 11 minutes long. It's a suite, so it seems like it's maybe just a song with 3 or 4 parts to it, which is cool. I love stuff like that, kind of some transition type stuff and different feels and things. Probably is like almost like 4 separate songs, but all within one suite. So it'll be cool. I'm super interested. I have no idea what to expect. Again, other than that one lyric, I don't even know what the song, any of these parts sound like. Um, Other than the kind of that silly, zany lyric that I've heard before. But yeah, I'm excited. This is off an album called Apostrophe, which I've heard of the album. I think Apostrophe is like one of his like kind of biggest fan favorite, like as far as in the Frank Zappa Xenoverse universe, like this is like kind of the one. like like I'm a pretty big Rush fan, so you'd say maybe like 2112 and maybe Moving Pictures are kind of like their main like fan favorite albums. So I think Apostrophe is like a big one. The song, I think there's a song Apostrophe. I think there's a title track. I've maybe heard it. Someone might have played it for me once, but I don't really remember what it sounds like. Um, and then maybe is the song Peaches and Regalia on this album. I know that song well because one of my favorite bands covers it every now and again. But yeah, I'm super excited. I'll shut up. We'll get into this. Don't Eat the Yellow Snow. It's kind of a long one, so let's get going. Okay, all left ear. Now it's switching to right ear. Okay, yep. So they're out in the weather. So it's in 7 maybe, 7/4.
Dreamed I was an Eskimo.
something like that. I think I gotta go to like a low D, but it's in this kind of this D. Something along those lines, maybe.
Wind began to blow.
One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 7, 4 and 3, 7. Oh yeah.
Was 100 degrees below zero. And my mama cried.
Such cool vocals going on, both sides panned.
Mama cried.
Nanook at the north.
Don't be a naughty Eskimo.
Oh, okay.
Save your money.
Oh yeah, I love that little chord that he teases in there. Let me go back just a touch.
Eskimo.
Uh,
Go to the show.
really cool.
Well, I turned around and I said, ho, ho. Well, I turned around and I said, ho, ho. Well, I turned around and I said, ho,
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 ho, ho.
And the northern lights commenced to glow. And she said,
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7.
watch out where the huskies go.
Okay, here it
Don't
is.
you eat that yellow snow.
There it
Watch out
is.
where the huskies go. Don't you eat that yellow snow.
Was there a little break there? Yeah, that was this. Was that a break because of the YouTube video? Is there a break there in the like the tape in the track? I don't know if they were using tape or not. Probably. I heard like there was just a little, yeah, a little clip there.
Watch out where the huskies go, and don't you eat that yellow snow.
It must be just like the next track. It's got to be the next track.
A fur trap.
Wow, this is so good. That change and this groove, super tasty. This the kind of stuff that I really enjoy.
Right about that time.
Now we're into like 6/8,
A fur trapper who was strictly
kind
from
of 6/8 ballady, bluesy. Now we're in like a 2.
had the unmitigated audacity to jump
Yeah,
off the
yeah,
line
back and
take
forth
the
between like the double time 2/4, 4/4, and then the 6/8. Oh, the marimba, the xylophone, whatever that is.
with a lead-filled snowshoe.
Oh, I love the little Fender Rhodes or organ or whatever that is. So just the depth that you get from the backup vocals and both ears panned. It's like two different voices. Maybe one is him and one is another band, or maybe it's two different band members other than him, or maybe there's even some extra stuff going on. But the depth that you get, you feel like you're just surrounded by these other voices, and they're all like kind of like butting in with interesting supportive lyrics in a manner that's both like interesting and silly and beautiful all at the same time. Just the mixing of that, they're so forward in the mix too. Like you hear them, like you don't, I mean, there's no mistaking they're there. It's not trying to be super subtle, which is I kind of like that. Sometimes you'll hear stuff like that and it's trying to be real subtle and kind of cool in the background. That's not really the case. If anything, that Rhodes or whatever that organ is kind of being a little bit subtle and in the background, and that's really nice sounding. Drums are doing some really cool stuff. In that first suite, the drums were doing really cool stuff. but bouncing out of this like slow 6/8 ballady thing into this doom kind of like circus. We're at the circus for a couple bars, and then got back into the 6/8. Yeah, cool stuff. Let's keep going.
A lead-filled snowshoe. He said peekaboo.
So where are we? So we're still in this this E flat minor thing. Can't tell exactly what that is, but it's like a E flat to C, maybe C minor. Something like that.
With a lead. With a lead-filled snowshoe.
To a B.
He said peekaboo. He went right upside the head of my favorite baby. See, he went whap with a lead-filled
Maybe not.
snowshoe and hit him on the nose.
C over
hit
B.
him on the fin, and he
And then Frank just ripping. The one thing that I have noticed, like the few Frank Zappa songs that I've heard in like his guitar solos, he likes to come in like super trebly or on the wah, it seems like, and just like shock you into like, oh my gosh, it's a guitar solo. You know, he'll be like super like back pickup, like, or on the wah all the way back, like. And he'll, you know, shred something crazy. I have noticed that's kind of seems to be maybe kind of his thing, which I love. I think that's just so cool. You don't get a lot of that type of like musical guitar solo, like something that's, you know, different, shocks you in the right ways at the right time, and is like awesome and, just extremely well played and very creative. So let's keep going.
that got me just about as evil as an Eskimo boy.
Like zero reverb.
So I bent down and I reached down and I scooped down and I gathered up a generous mitten full of the deadly.
So what key? So kind of in like this E flat. Something like that.
The deadly yellow snow from right there where the huskies go. Whereupon I proceeded to take that mitten full of the deadly yellow snow crystals and rub it all into his beady little eyes with a vigorous circular motion hitherto unknown to the people in this area, but destined to take the place of the mud shark in your mythology.
Oh, I love that, how that on the drums came in with the lyric to the vocal. The piano. And then back to this dirty 6/8.
And a
Pounce. The 2 pounces.
Great googly moogly. I jumped up and down the chest of her.
What did I just hear? Wait, hold on. What's the lyric there?
I jumped up and down the chest of her.
I injured the fur trap.
I injured the fur trap with a fart.
Was very upset.
Maybe that wasn't. It was something else, but it sounded like a fart.
And rightly so, because the deadly yellow snow crystals had deprived him of his sight. And he stood up and he looked around.
That sick organ, just bluesy, nasty.
I can't see. Oh, woe is me.
Great falsetto.
I can't see.
No. Whoa. What is this now? Is it like horns and saxes and keyboard, or what is that?
He took a dog do snow cone and stuffed it in my right eye. He took a dog do snow cone and stuffed it in my other eye.
A dog do snow.
I mean the doggy wee wee.
The doggy wee wee.
Me, and I can't see temporarily. Well, the fur trapper stood there with his arms outstretched across the frozen white wasteland, trying to figure out what
So
he's going to
good.
do about his deflected eyes.
It's
And it
deflected
was at
eyes.
that precise moment that he remembered an ancient Eskimo legend wherein it is written, on whatever it is that they write it on up there, that if anything bad ever happens to your eyes as a result of some sort of conflict with anyone named Nanook,
Mm-hmm.
the only way you can get it fixed up is to go trudging across the tundra, mile after mile. Trudging across the tundra, right down to the parish of St. Alfonso.
Wow, big quick change. Sick xylophone and marimba. Cool synthy thing. What a good little drum fill. Kind of like a little like a double hand to one kick. Kind of cool little fill there. I like that. I want to hear that one more time. Right here.
Yes, indeed, here we are at St. Alfonso's Pancake Breakfast.
I love it when drummers use a snare roll. Like you will almost never hear that. Like not very often, but like a nice buzz roll can could be just a great, like nice tight buzz roll that's just very smooth. Can be such a great little like lead-in sound effect tool, kind of like a cymbal swell, like a suspended cymbal swell. Some of that stuff you don't hear drummers do, that kind of musical percussive drumming often enough, in my opinion.
Yes, indeed, here we are at St. Alfonso's Pancake Breakfast, where I stole the margarine and wheedled on the bingo cards and blew up the latrine.
Is that a pancake breakfast where he wadded on the bingo cards and blew up the latrine?
I saw a handsome parish lady make her entrance like a queen. Why, she was totally chenille and her old man was a marine.
So it was kind of like a, and then something like that. It kind of had like a subtle, little kind of major pentatonic chord change, like the, and then it kind of hit like the, maybe I could be wrong, but that would be like somewhere in the neighborhood of like a C.
As she abused the sausage patty and said, why don't you treat me mean?
I mean, as absurd as the lyrics are, the music is so interesting, and there's so much going on.
St. Alfonso's Pancake Breakfast. Where I stole
Those drums are so good, and they've panned the drums so nicely, and it's just so nice to hear stuff like that. I love the horns.
St. Alfonso's Pancake Breakfast. Where I stole
Dude, those toms there are panned so beautifully and amazingly.
St. Alfonso's pancake breakfast. Get off the bus where I stole the margarine.
So I'm almost hearing like in my right ear. Do I have my headphones on the right way? I think so. In my right ear, I'm hearing the higher toms, and in my left ear, I'm hearing the lower toms. So if I was looking at the drummer straight on, that might be the direction that that sound goes. So I think that's kind of like pretty typical. Is you will pan the toms based on which toms, and right to left based on the drummer being right to left. But just done so nicely, and makes things just sound so nice and musical and just awesome, and I love that. And like the vocals that he's had, right, that will pop up in both ears and be super interesting in each ear and have different things to say and different things with within like the confines of the song, and like complementing the main lyric, which is like kind of the stop and start zany half spoken word type like storytelling thing. Now you're not having those extra voices singing extra kind of funky funny lyrics, but you're having those voices still in the form of like saxophones or trumpets or whatever, maybe some brass and woodwind type stuff, are those same two panned left right ears having interesting things to communicate and say from a musical standpoint, that are fairly forward, not super subtle. Like there's a lot of this call and response thing between his storytelling lyrics and then like the little tiny gaps in between where they're like da 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 da, we're gonna say something too, and then you can get back to it. And so it's kind of a lot of back and forth, and it's really interesting. And I don't really recall a whole lot of music where there's a lot of this kind of thing going on, that I've listened to. Yeah, I'm really not thinking of any. So it's kind of one of a kind here. And then the sick barred percussion with the synth. The little that I've heard of Zappa, they do that a lot. It's so good. It's so good. That is some serious musicianship. Lot of practice getting that stuff right. Like that's a lot of work. And the drummer is just exact to all of that melody. I feel like that would be a really fun drum chart to like look at and practice and play with. Like that just seems like a ton of fun, that drum chart would be. 'Cause nothing in there was like the fastest you've ever heard or the most difficult you've ever heard. It's very fast and it's very difficult, but at the same time, like it's all doable. And being able to like play all those drum beats and drum parts, along with the synth or the keys and the barred percussion, the marimba or whatever that is, would just be so fun to play along with that. And it's like the drummer on the drum set is kind of doing all of that stuff melodic, all of those melodic lines from a rhythmic standpoint on his drum set, and mixing in the snare and the toms and the hats and everything around the kit, which is just so cool. I don't know who the drummer is. I probably should, but please comment who the drummer is on this record. Another little roll. Now we're doing another track. Okay.
The night before, behind the door, a leprechaun. The night before, behind the door, a leprechaun. It's slow. He stroked it. The night before, behind the door, a leprechaun. It's slow.
Just ever so slight marimba. This is so good. That was so good. Like a lot of this stuff is so like it's almost like humorous. It's like the amount of like things you can do with music and the emotions that you can convey and how you can be like kind of silly and like musically a little bit tongue in cheek and like all that. It's like they're just masters at that. He is so good at that. And that it's almost like overboard but so cool at the same time. It's like why not?
The night before, behind the door, a leprechaun is
What?
It sent him off in such a frenzy. He sang lock around the crop, and he topped it off with a, and he topped it off with a, and he topped it off with a.
So the only band that I just kind of think about, and I should have thought about it before, is like probably one of my top few favorite bands is the band Fish, and they do some stuff that kind of reminds me of this. They can't do it to this extent because they don't have the. I mean, they've got talented members as well, but they don't have all the extra members. Like there had to have been a dozen dudes or men and women or probably just a bunch of dudes in this band. I mean, you got a couple barred percussionists, a drummer, two maybe other percussionists. You've got some horn players that maybe also sing a little bit. Bass. You got Frank. You maybe got another guitar player or two. And so yeah, where was I? With Fish being like some of their stuff that they write has this flavor or this feel to it, but not to this wild extent. Fun, interesting things to listen to where you get kind of that cool sonic quality and production value, but nothing to this extent. This is wild. It's almost like I couldn't listen to a ton of this all the time. Because I feel like I kind of have to be locked in to listen to this stuff. This isn't really great so far, like from what I can like. This isn't like really background music. I mean, maybe you could get to a point where this could be, but at least on my first, listen of some of the Zappa stuff, I'm kind of locking into it and really trying to pay attention, and I'm not just kind of like zoning out, bumping this while I'm cleaning the house or working on something. Although maybe I could get to that point. Very cool. Let's keep going. We're almost done.
As he stumbled on his, he was delighted as it stiffened and ripped right through his side. Oh, Saint Alfonso would be proud of me.
Okay, cool. Really good.
He shouted down the block.
Almost like a little Latin thing here at the end.
Dominus vobiscum et conspiritu tuo. Won't you eat my sleazy pancakes just for saintly Alfonso? They're so light and fluffy white, we'll raise a fortune by tonight. They're so light and fluffy white, we'll raise a fortune by tonight. They're so light and fluffy brown, they're the finest in the town. They're so light and fluffy brown, they're the
Light and
finest
fluffy
in the town.
white, light and fluffy brown.
In your highness.
What a fade. Wow, to fade it there when I've just... Oh, maybe not. A little outtake bit at the end. But to fade that when that Good Morning Your Highness thing comes in, it just seems so... Does it transition into that somewhere else in the album or next or something like that? But that seemed so hot to fade that. Okay. All right. There it is. Don't you eat that yellow snow. Sorry that was such a long one. It was a long song and there's a lot to get into there. So good. So good. I feel like I kind of dissected it as we went, so I'm not going to give a whole lot on final thoughts. Some very accessible parts of that, and some somewhat inaccessible parts of that suite. Just from like could you sit down and have your wife listen to this and like understand what's happening or enjoy it or bob their head, or is this one for a late night couch session with you know with yourself or with the boys or with the band or whatever. Yeah, but really cool, really really cool, excellent. Um, it's so uniquely him, and there's no mistaking Zappa. A lot of it is the vocals, and it's not that they're bad; they're just very unique and they're him. You're not getting Freddie Mercury singing you know gorgeous stuff, but that's not what this is supposed to be. His vocal is just another layer of the overall like musical composition, and it seems like he's very into storytelling and being tongue in cheek and joking and um, telling inside jokes maybe, and just having a lot of fun with the music. And the vocals kind of seem like a secondary, like I gotta write some lyrics, so let's just have fun with them kind of a thing. But we're gonna make some sick musical compositions and just blow people's what's out there, where. And yeah, it's really really cool, really good. So yeah, we'll leave it at that. Frank Zappa, apostrophe, don't eat the yellow snow, sweet from apostrophe. Really, really cool. Good suggestion, Frank Potter. And I think maybe someone else might have suggested this too, or some other people liked it. So hopefully you guys will enjoy this one. That's it. All right, peace. Till the next one.